Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Freedman, Matt F. the Oracle. Welcome to the Betting Pros podcast brought to you by BetMGM, where you can get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 when you use the highly original promo code BettingPros with your first deposit. All right, here with me to talk NFL Week 11 best bets is Raheem Palmer of The Ringer, formerly of Action Network, where Raheem, I had the pleasure to work with you for a little bit. How's the season going? Before we started recording, you were telling me about how you are moving/living in Las Vegas right now. This is amazing, but how's the season going for you?
Okay, so I mean, on one front, the circa contest is kicking my ass. Like right now, picking 5 NFL sides against the spread is just not going well for me. But I mean, I've become the type of bettor to where I really pick my spots in real life. Like when it comes to my actual hard-earned money, I'm betting. I'm not betting down the board. So I mean, I'm making a lot of money, so I'm doing pretty well.
That's awesome. So you're living out there in Vegas right now, staying at a hotel. Not to name it. I'm not going to name it unless you want to give them the
I'm not
going
to name it. Yeah,
we don't want people rolling up in the lobby being like, "Hey, where's Raheem? Is Raheem the dream here?"
Yeah. I mean, so basically what happened was I came out here to sign up for the Circa and the Super Contest back in August, and then I just never went home. Like I think I went home for 4 days, and then I came back for the Canelo GGG fight, and I just literally just been living in a hotel. And it got so crazy because you're only supposed to stay in a hotel for 28 nights before you got to check out for one night because there's just some residency laws or whatever. I ended up staying at this one hotel for like 45 nights. And then they was like, yo, you got to check out. Like, you really got to check out. So I checked out, went to another one, came back. But I think I found a place that I really like. I'm probably going to be moving, and I'm going to officially be a Las Vegas, Nevada resident soon.
Most people, when they go to Vegas and then never return home, they're dead. They're buried in the desert somewhere. So out of the two outcomes of going to Vegas and then never going back, living and winning a whole bunch of money, that's the better outcome. So congratulations.
Yeah, I mean,
on that.
it's been incredible. I've been flying people out. Like my mom came out last week for her birthday. I got girls who kind of just want to come out here and hang out with me. So I've been having a good time.
All right. Well, it sounds like you've been having more than a good time. I would classify it as great time. And Week 11, we're firmly now in the double digits of the NFL season. I think it's been a fantastic season, just in terms of parity. Underdogs winning a lot, and that I think that tends to make for really interesting football games. You've got a lot of unders cashing, which isn't quite as interesting. People tend not to like the lower scoring games, but again, if you got unders cashing, you tend to have more underdogs winning, and I think that makes for a lot of exciting football games. So excited to talk about this Week 11 slate with you. And we're recording this on Thursday. This morning I published on Betting Pros my projected spreads for every game, and several bets I like. Raheem, I know you've got some bets, so we're going to do our best bets show here. And by the way, I should say, give a little plug for you. You do a great best bets pod for The Ringer every Sunday morning. Let's talk about some of the games that we like on the slate here. And first up for me, I'm looking at Bears at Falcons. This number was 3.5 when I was first on it. I believe it has moved to 3 across the market. I still like it. At that number. I have this projected at, let me see here, Bears plus 0.75. So I still think on the key number of 3, there's some value here, being able to bet this down. And, Arthur Smith, he's got like 0 home field advantage. He's 3-9 against the spread for his career at home. Really, I look at this on the field, it comes down to Justin Fields, who is just like transformed into like a 2019 Lamar Jackson type of force over the past 5 or 6 weeks. And I think the matchup of him going against the Falcons linebackers and cornerbacks, I think that really gives the Bears an edge. And the Falcons are yet to face a true dual threat quarterback this year. That's what they're getting in Fields. And, fantasy football isn't the same as sports betting, but there's some commonality. There's a frame of reference. And over the past month, Fields is number 1 at the position in expected fantasy points actual fantasy points and fantasy point over performance. Like he's just absolutely crushing. He ranks number 1 among all quarterbacks in carries, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. I think he has a massive edge against Rashawn Evans and Michael Walker at linebacker, who are like thumpers. They're not like, they don't have the speed to catch Fields in the open field if he breaks out of the pocket, which we should expect to see him do multiple times in this game. The Bears have a top 10 rush offense thanks primarily to Fields. The Falcons are bottom 10 in run defense. And then, he's no longer a net negative in the passing game either. Like he struggled last year. He struggled in weeks 1 through 3, had just 15 pass attempts per game in the first 3 weeks of the season, 3.5 adjusted yards per attempt. But since then, since week 4, he's been serviceable as a passer, 7.8 adjusted yards per attempt. That's like pretty decent, and 23.1 pass attempts per game. The Falcons, it looks like they will have number 1 cornerback AJ Terrell coming back from his hamstring injury, which he hasn't played since exiting week 7 early, but like I think he's still going to be a little bit physically limited. And then number 2 cornerback Casey Hayward, he's out with a shoulder injury. It doesn't look like he's close to returning. The Falcons are number 29 in defensive pass DVOA, number 30 in dropback success rate. Even with Terrell, I think they're vulnerable. So I expect Fields to be able to do just enough against the corners and to do basically whatever he wants against the linebackers. And I think that should be enough to get the Bears the cover. Raheem, I don't know if you have any opinions on this game.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with this one, just because. The Bears, they traded away some of their, defensive pieces. Obviously, Roquan Swift is gone. But I do think that the Falcons are trending downward. I think the market has kind of caught up with them. So if I had to go with a side, I definitely would go with the Bears. I was thinking about it playing it myself, but I think it might be ultimately be a stay away from me.
Yeah, that's fair. And by the way, it's not like I need to tell you this. I'm sure you feel free to disagree with me whenever you want. Because you are a sharp sports bettor, and I gotta say, I remember, when I was at Action, looking for contributors, and you sent an email in, and like it was just like, okay, this guy, we got to get this guy. Like your stuff was so sharp. So it's awesome to have you on the show and getting your opinions. And you do have an opinion on Cowboys at the Vikings. And this game, people, and I would say like more like the mainstream media, with the Vikings beating the Bills last week and the way that they did it, and all of like the fake power rankings systems that people have, like not like actual power ratings, but like, hey, I'm looking at this team and they have an 8-1 win-loss record, so I gotta put them at the top after they just beat the Bills. I don't want to say that like the Vikings are fake, but like they're not up to the level of the 8-1 record that they have. And you see that by the fact that they are at home, where they have a pretty strong home field advantage, and the Cowboys are still favored in this game. What are your thoughts here?
Okay, first things first. When I looked at this line, I was like, how could the Cowboys be favorite? And it was kind of confusing to me first, but once I dug into the numbers, it made perfect sense. You're looking at a Vikings team which has won 7 straight games by 1 possession. Last year, this was a team who they couldn't win 1 possession games. Now you got regression to the mean all the way on the opposite end. This is an 8-1 team that has a Pythagorean expectation of just 5.4 wins. And, when you get away from the numbers, one of the first things that stands out is that Kirk Cousins, he struggles against pressure. He has a 66 passer rate against pressure and just a 42% completion percentage against pressure. So last week, you look at the Dallas Cowboys, which is my team. Excuse me.
Mine too. I'm with you there. Yeah.
They're my team, but I'm loyal to my bankroll first and foremost. And one of the things that the Cowboys do is they get pressure. They're one of the best in the league with Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. Micah Parsons last week, for whatever reason, they had him dropping back in coverage, which was a mistake. They won't have him doing that this week. They're third in pressure rate, third in ESPN's pass rush win rate, second in passer rate, pressure rate. So they're going to be able to get some pressure on this Vikings team. And one of the big things that you see is that left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, he's out. He's in concussion protocol. If he's not playing, Kirk Cousins is in trouble. And you look at the Vikings defense, I think they're a bit overrated, 29th in opponent yards per pass attempt. I really like the Cowboys in this game. I think they win this one going away. I just think this is a really bad matchup for the Vikings, and I think that one score regression really comes back to haunt them. And one thing I will say is that when you look at the Vikings, the last couple games, they were down 10 points in the fourth quarter to the Commanders. It took kind of a miracle for them to beat the Cardinals. You look at their game against the Dolphins. That was a losable game for them as well. And then last week, they're down 17 points against the Bills. Like, I mean, they lose that game, and I think the perception of these teams is completely different. The Cowboys were up 14 to the Packers and kind of just blew it. So as long as Dak Prescott doesn't turn the ball over, I think this is a game where they dominate. And then also remember, Cooper Rush went into Minnesota last year with this Cowboys team and beat them outright. So I love it.
Yeah, I got to say, I have it projected right now at Dallas favored by 1. But like the things that I know aren't taken into account in my projections, the possibility of Christian Darrisaw not starting in this game. And you're right, like he didn't practice yesterday. He's in the concussion protocol. Very good chance he is not active for this game. And then, the issue with the Cowboys last week, Anthony Barr was out. And so because he wasn't able to play in that off-ball linebacker position, they did shift Micah Parsons back to linebacker, which I agree with you, total strategic mistake by the Cowboys. Like Micah Parsons, you want him on the edge rushing the passer as much as you can. Anthony Barr has returned to practice. He practiced yesterday. He practiced today. I think a very good chance that he returns. And with that, we see Micah Parsons going back to more of a pure edge rusher, which I mean, like that is worth a lot to the Cowboys. And so if I'm taking that into account, it's probably still pretty close to me, but if I'm leaning a direction, it's the Cowboys at that point. I'm with you there. A game that has really caught my eye. Patriots hosting the Jets here. And I'm looking at the market right now, and this has, kind of floated around between 3.5. At BetMGM right now, this number is 3, and that is, kind of like the best number that you can get out there. And by the way, obviously, BetMGM, the risk-free bet of up to $1,000 when you use the promo code BettingPros with your first deposit. It feels dirty to say that I like the Patriots in this spot because I don't really have a lot of faith in Mac Jones, but I do like the Patriots in this spot. And, we've seen, in week 8, we saw last year what they were able to do to Zach Wilson, who is, when pressured, a very inconsistent passer. And the Patriots were -3 on the road against the Jets in week 8. They won 22-17. Even though they've lost by only 5 points, they trailed by 12 entering the final 2 minutes. Really at no point in the fourth quarter did it feel like they were a significant threat. And now the Patriots are at home and they're still favored by just 3, again, against Wilson. And against the Patriots, for his career, 53.6% completion rate, 4.1 adjusted yards per attempt. 7 sacks for 53 yards lost. I mean, that's bad. Without Breece Hall, they don't have the explosiveness in the running game to help them, and they're bottom 6 in passing offense. And the Patriots number 1 against the pass in dropback EPA and dropback success rate. I think Wilson has a mediocre at best showing against the Patriots, and I think that is enough at the key number 3 to make me take the Patriots. Raheem, any opinions on this game here?
I absolutely love this game, and this is a pick that I actually wanted to take. For me, look, the Patriots have beat the Jets 13 times in a row, and Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson against Bill Belichick might be one of the biggest mismatches you'll ever see. And one of the reason why this game stood out to me particularly is because when you look at their first matchup, the Patriots were on the road. What were they laying? They were laying 3 points.
Yeah.
Now they come back home and they're laying 3 points. So from a math standpoint, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I just think Zach Wilson is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Now, this Jets defense, they can cause some problems for Mac Jones, but with the Patriots on a bye week, I'm trusting that Bill Belichick has been able to put something together to help Mac Jones regain form. So I really like the Patriots in this matchup. I'm actually going to take this one myself.
Love it. I love it. We're on the same side here. All right. Another game that has caught my eye. Lions +3 at the Giants. And I bet this in the look ahead market at +4. Here comes a plug. Logged it in the Betting Pros app where you can sync up with sportsbooks, get free betting advice, picks, track different experts, track line movement, track your own bets. And, you can get sports betting alerts. We monitor all the major sports books so you can see which book is offering the best line on a bet at any given moment. So download the app today in the Apple or Google Play Store. Lions at the Giants. The Giants, I mean, not entirely fake. Like, obviously, a lot of respect for Brian Daboll and what he's been able to get out of, I think, a rather talent deficient roster, especially with all the wide receiver issues they've had, and a ton of respect for Saquon Barkley, who, very much in the running to be comeback player of the year. Depending on the sports book you're looking at, favored, tight race with Geno Smith. I think he probably deserves to be comeback player of the year. But to me, looking at this game here, I mean, I don't want to say like Dan Campbell, like as an underdog, you just auto bet him, but we have seen the Lions be strong as underdogs and be able to cover. And the on-field matchup, this Lions offensive line against the Giants defensive line. In our internal Fantasy Pros unit power rankings, the Lions offensive line has a massive edge over the Giants here, and who are without edge rusher Azeez Ojulari, by the way. In my personal rankings, I have the Lions as the number 1 offensive line in the league, and they're top 4 in adjusted sack rate and adjusted line yards. The Giants defensive line is outside the top 20 in both of those metrics. I think in the trenches, whether it's, pass protecting for Jared Goff, whether it's clearing running lanes for Jamal Williams, I think they're able to control the line of scrimmage. And so as underdogs, I do like their chances to keep this game close. Raheem, do you have any opinion on this?
Okay, this one's tough for me just because historically Jared Goff in cold weather is, he's just an
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, and when you looked at that game against the Bears, that wasn't a game where they should have won. Look, the Bears kind of coughed that game away. You had the turnover, you had the penalty driven drive, and then you had the pick six. And then the Bears come back and score right away and they missed the extra point. So you have the Lions on their second straight road game. And I do expect there to be sharp money on the Lions here, but I just don't think the sharp money on the fading this Giants team has worked out. For whatever reason, they just seem to be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat. And, we spoke about the Minnesota Vikings being lucky. This Giants team is very lucky, but for some reason, they have a little bit of magic that's just going for them. And I just think they're going to be able to run the ball on this Lions team. They should be able to score. So I'm going to personally stay away from this one. A lot of people know who people who have followed me at the Ringer. I actually have a 10-1 division bet on the Giants. And with the Eagles faltering a little bit, I'm kind of hoping it gets there. So I'm just going to be a fan from the sidelines.
Yeah, so again, you said you're more loyal to your bankroll than your team. So the Giants and the Cowboys, there's a chance it could come down to those two for the division title, and yeah, that'll be interesting there. But okay, one game you have your eye on, man, oh man, Colts at the Eagles. And so at this time last week, everyone was lining up, myself included, lining up to dogpile on the Colts. Total clown show of an organization, hiring a head coach who has no head coaching experience in the NFL or in college, has never been on a college or NFL staff, an offensive play caller who's never called plays at any level, and a 6th round, second-year quarterback with 2 career starts to his name and very mediocre production in Sam Ehlinger. And then all of a sudden, Matt Ryan comes back in. Jeff Saturday doesn't look like a total clown. And the Colts win, against Las Vegas. And all of a sudden, the Colts seem much better maybe than they really are. And you have the Eagles losing prime time against the Washington Commanders at home, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, this line, which a week ago in the look ahead market was around 10, maybe even 10.5, and it has come down 7.5, 6.5. It hit at one point in certain books. So Raheem, looking at the Colts at the Eagles, what are your thoughts here?
My thoughts are that the biggest thing is that I like the Colts in this matchup. First things first, Jalen Hurts, 5-10 against the spread on a career on the road, 2-6 as a road favorite, including 1-3 this season. So I mean, the trends don't point in the direction of the Eagles. But one thing I'll say is that, that look ahead line, it was with Ellinger. It wasn't with Matt Ryan. And, you add Matt Ryan to the mix, and I think it changes a lot. I mean, you have a Colts team who basically they punted away their season and they still have a chance of winning, which was, it's kind of misfortune. I understand it just because you can't continue this merry-go-round of quarterbacks over and over and over again. You kind of got to get a guy that you think is just going to be there for the next 5-10 years or so. But when I look at this matchup, the Colts have a little edge, and I think that's with the Eagles' run defense. They're 32nd in rushing success rate, 31st in rushing EPA per play. Now, I know they brought in Ndamukong Suh, but I just don't know if he's going to be available this weekend and be in football shape.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at what the Texans did, they ran all over them. 168 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. When you look at what the Commanders did on Monday night, 152 yards. I mean, it's just they made things easier for themselves, putting themselves in short yardage situations. And the Eagles are going to be without Jordan Davis. So I think the way Jonathan Taylor is running right now, you saw he ran well against the Raiders. I think they can continue that this week. And you look at the Eagles, they lost cornerback Avonte Maddox to a hamstring injury. This is a team that's on a short week. So I just think this Colts team at home, they can kind of keep this game close. And I just think they're going to be playing for Jeff Saturday. This is going to be Jeff Saturday's first home game as a coach. And the one thing you can say about this Colts team is that they're still good defensively. I know they've struggled offensively, but I just think defensively, they can kind of hold this team out. And you got Dallas Goedert out. AJ Brown was a little nicked up. So I just think this is too many points. I think this is a Colts team that was really respected within the sharp markets coming into this season. A lot of people took them to win the division. A lot of people even took them to win the Super Bowl. And because they had that rough start, I think they're being a little bit undervalued here. So I'm going to take the Colts.
Yeah. So my gut instinct, just thinking about this, I was like, okay, we've got the drop from 10.5. Now we're at 6.5. It's like, oh, this has gone too far. But you're right. That look ahead number was Ellinger. The early line that came out on Sunday that did include Matt Ryan, but hadn't taken into account the Eagles primetime Monday Night Football the next night, losing at home. That line on Sunday, the early line was 8.5. And so, a 2-point, in theory, a 2-point move from Ellinger to Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan's worth more than just a 2-point upgrade from Ellinger, even taking into account that you're going through the key number of 10, I think he's still worth more than that. And so, even though my gut is 6.5, buy low on the Eagles, I'm looking at the numbers and I have this projected exactly at 6.5. And so it's 6.5 at BetMGM right now. It's 7 at DraftKings. And, if you are on the Colts on this side, getting it on the key number 7, I think there's probably value there. All right. One more game here. The Bengals at the Steelers. And this line has continued to move down a little bit. I believe at some books, it did hit 3.5. I'm looking now, 3.5 at BetMGM. And so I'm on the wrong side of the market here. I bet this first at 4.5, thinking it might move up, and it's moved against me. So, the market is talking, maybe I should listen to it, but I gotta say, I still like in this spot, the Bengals here. Joe Burrow on the road, 13-7 against the spread for his career, including the postseason. And the matchup here, I do still like, even without Jamar Chase. I like the pass offense for the Bengals against the pass defense for the Steelers. Expecting Jamar Chase to be out. He hasn't returned to practice. I don't think he's particularly close. Maybe next week he's able to play. But even without him, the Bengals, I think they're still pretty strong in the receiving unit. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst, Joe Mixon. That's a pretty good quartet of pass catchers. And for the seasons, the Bengals are solidly above average in the passing game, number 8 in DVOA, number 5 in dropback EPA, number 6 in dropback success rate. The Steelers defense has been average at best against the pass. And on top of that, Last week, they were without Akilla Witherspoon, without William Jackson, without Minkah Fitzpatrick. And, since then, Jackson has been placed on IR. And Witherspoon and Fitzpatrick, they didn't practice yesterday. I need to, check to see if they practiced today, but there's a chance that they both missed this game. In week 1, the Bengals lost to the Steelers by just 3 points in overtime, even though Joe Burrow committed 5 turnovers, right? Just absolutely unreal. 4 interceptions and a lost fumble. But last year, the Bengals dominated 24-10, 41-10 against the Steelers. And I don't think Burrow's going to turn the ball over 5 times this week. Just a guess. So I think the passing game, even without Chase, is still going to have success against the Steelers. So the Bengals at -4, -3.5. The market's moving against me, but I hate being in the situation of like being hubristic enough to say like the market's wrong and I'm right, because normally that's not the case, but I think in this situation, the market is buying a little too much into the return of TJ Watt and what he might be able to do against this offensive line. Yeah, he's great. But he's just one guy. And, the Bengals coming off of the bye, they have time to prepare for this. So I'm on the Bengals here at -3.5, -4. Raheem, do you have a position on this game? If you're going against me, I might as well just buy out of this position right now.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably not even touching this game. This is a tough one for me because my model actually makes this game Bengals -5, -6 in that area. But, I mean, this is what the guys in action call a rah-rah Mike Tomlin spot, 49-28 against the spread as an underdog. I mean, we all know how he performs as a home underdog. But I just think all the reasons you listed. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick did return to practice today, but we're not sure. They said they're not sure if he's going to play, but he did practice today. But it's just this is just a tough one. I mean, the Bengals are missing 2 of their top tackles, and Najee Harris has struggled, but I think he could show some life in this game. And it's just I just think there's better spots. I mean, I would probably be looking towards Pittsburgh just because of Tomlin's record as an underdog, but I think a lot of the football reasons point to taking the Bengals here.
Yeah. So, and I normally on the like Mike Tomlin is an underdog, love it. Tomlin is a home underdog. For me, it's almost always just a blind auto bet. But like I do build into my projections, home field, like particular tendencies at home, and doing well as an underdog, like that is built into it. So like my model knows that Tomlin as a home underdog tends to crush. And like you, I still have this projected at 5.5. So I hate going against Tomlin at home, but this just feels like a spot where the Steelers are maybe getting a little too much love. One show that I didn't, one game not in the outline, but I want to mention Raiders Broncos. I'm showing value on the Raiders, but man, it's such a hard team to bet. And by the way, I gotta do the plug. Speaking of the Raiders, we're giving away a free signed Josh Jacobs Raiders jersey from Pristine Auction. If you want a chance to win it, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now and comment below on the video. We announce a winner on the channel in a future episode, so turn on those notifications. Raheem, the Raiders, like in theory, there's value on this team, but it is just so disgusting. I don't know if I can bet it. Do you have any thoughts on Raiders at Broncos?
Oh, this one's uglier than a masterpiece sneaker, as I always say. I'm struggling with this one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had the Colts last week. It's just I've sworn off the Raiders. This is a team who's blown multiple 17-point leads this year, and then the Broncos can't score. So it's just like the Broncos, even with their solid defense, I think they're averaging 15, 16 points a game. To me, I think the play is on a Raiders teaser. Like, can you really see this Broncos team really covering 9 points in the teaser? So I think if I had to go with any direction, I think that's where I go.
Okay, yeah. So that I think that feels right. It feels disgusting to have any investment on the Raiders, but if you're going to do it, teasing it feels right because it is in that classic Wong zone where you're getting some value here. So I can see it. I love it. All right, Raheem, thanks for joining us. Tell the people where to follow you on social and to find all your work.
Pleasure to have me. Thanks for having me on. You can find me on the Ringer Gambling Show. We do a Ringer Gambling podcast multiple times a week. Myself, John Jastrzemski, House, East Coast Bias. I'm also on with House. You can catch me every Sunday. I do my top 5 NFL contest picks. They're not going too well right now, so if you want to fade, feel right to fade. But I mean, we cover NBA, NFL, little boxing too. Myself and Kevin Clark. You see, they just announced Ryan Garcia is going to be fighting Tank Davis in the spring, so we're definitely going to be covering that. You can find me on Twitter. I am Rostradamus. Those of you familiar with Nas, it's one of my favorite rappers. So, and then you got to have the Rostradamus angle. So that's what it is.
All right, Raheem, it's awesome catching up with you. He's Raheem Palmer. I'm Matthew Freedman, Man at the Oracle. Check out Betting Pros and Fantasy Pros for all of my work. Best bets, player props, fantasy favorites, player projections and rankings, and more. If you like the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app. That's going to do it for the Week 11 Best Bets edition of the Betting Pros pod. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck, and see you next episode.